So, I picked the topic because it's kind of a hard thing to talk about. I picked the one I said I can't get out of my mind. And what I can't get out of my mind is something that happened a couple weeks ago with my niece. My little niece is someone who I'll love forever. No matter what happens, I'll be there. I have a dream of walking her down the alley or whatever when she marries her husband or wife, and I don't really give a shit because I love her so much. And when my nephew's born, I made a vow that I'll always be there for him. And when I had my niece, I accidentally made that vow again. But this time it hit me more than ever. I've been with my niece, she's about 1.5 now. I've been with her since day one, every little step. That I loved her. Or, I do love her. I say loved because that's kind of what happens with the story. That I just can't get out of my mind. As I say this, there's a bunch of pictures. You can see me walking over there. A bunch of pictures of my niece and nephew. And my niece being held by my grandmother in a little seat. My nephew and her little first Halloween. And she was perfectly normal little girl. She was a perfect little girl, but I just can't get out of my head. Okay. So, in the hospital, when she, I think it was almost 1, she had a hip problem, and essentially, from that experience, she basically had to get hip problems, and I walked in on her, and I loved her so much, and then she had the cast on her hip just made me sad, and I walked in there, and I just bawled my eyes out and had to leave. I couldn't fathom the fact that she was in there, and I just couldn't get that out of my head. And I cried and cried. And after that, I sat cried, and then it hugged me, and my family did, and I thought it couldn't get any worse. And then, I guess a month after that, right before school started, my freshman year, my sister called our house and said something was going on with her boyfriend, my patient's dad. So we drove over there, and I've been through a lot of traumatizing stuff, but this one added to the amount of stuff I've gone through. Because essentially, I went there. My sister came bawling her eyes out of the house, bawling her eyes out, hugging me, put her arm around me, crying her eyes out, just saying the word over and over and over again. I cannot have my baby. He's gonna take away my baby. Bawl her eyes out, and I was just sat there. I didn't do anything. I was broken inside. And then she managed to pick all her stuff. My mom said to her that it would be all okay in the end. But I loved her patient so much. I love her. And because of that, it really stuck with me. And on the car ride home, I just stared with like this. And I just didn't talk. And then after that, I bawled my eyes out again more than anyone else. And then eventually, right before school started, my sister moved back in to figure out the whole entire how baby will work. With my nephew, the exact same thing happened with her mom and dad, and so I'm kind of used to it. So they separated, and I didn't want my niece to have to go through that, because I don't have to go through that, and I'm very lucky that our parents didn't divorce or anything. And so without what happened to my niece and my nephew, it just hurts. And then as school goes on, I come back every now and then and visit. I do numerous projects. I fell in love with her. I decided that the goal of my life is to get through college and get an amazing job so that my niece and nephew and any more kids that basically come my way, I want them to get a successful job and have a great college experience and stuff. But I just can't get this out of my head. A few weeks ago, another traumatizing thing happened. Essentially, I walked in the dining room, and my niece had a big bowl of, she had a huge bowl of hot dogs, and they weren't chopped up very well, like, a huge piece of meat like that. She stuffed like 5 in her mouth. I walked by and went like, hey, don't do that, you add 5 in your mouth. And then everyone's like, heh. Then I walked into the the kitchen, and I held a choke, and my sister ran in, and like started freaking out, and I started freaking out. And then, soon enough, it kind of went downhill. Well, I can't remember because it's so traumatizing, it's hard to remember. But I just can't get out of my head either. It's just hard. My sister, she grabbed the baby, did that, patted her on the back, and then they went into the living room, and my sister, she started crying, and then my niece, all I could hear was saying, she's falling asleep. And the next thing you know, they called the paramedics, 911, and she just passed out. And when she just passed out, I couldn't take it, and I just couldn't get out of my head. I ran into my room, bawled my eyes out, ran outside, crumpled on the street, fell in so much tears and so much everything, and I just couldn't fathom what was happening. I cried and cried and cried. It's very traumatizing. And I kind of ran away, and then I came back, because I didn't see the whole entire story, I just saw some of it. But what I did see was traumatizing. The next thing I know, I'm like in the middle of the street, I'm collapsed, and I'm watching my sister, fallen paramedic, carrying a limpless body that's my niece, that I love so much, and she just carrying her away. I thought she was dead, and I just cried. I cried and cried. And then, yeah, I just couldn't get in my head. She's okay now, but I'm very traumatized. People in my family I've known something's happening because I freak out over everything. If there's one little thing wrong, if something's going on, if something's a phone call, if someone does that, I just can't. It goes back to the event. I just can't get up ahead. Like, something happened. Someone's dying. My niece, she's in trouble. Who's hurt? Who's it? Yes. And my family's kind of annoyed by that. But to be honest, it traumatizes me. And I can't get it out of my head. Even now, I can't do it. It's just so... Like, doing this, it's kind of hard to say, but I need to tell this. And I want to tell you, the person, if you go through anything traumatizing like I did, just know that other people are out there like you. And because the thing, I just can't get out of my head. I'm Christian and stuff. No one else in my family is Christian. And I took the fact that my little niece survived is a hint that we should all live in. There's a singer I like called Lisa Sturm, which I'm a huge fan of. And she goes by the term, or she likes to tell people that be happy you wake up every day, because something could take that away from you right then and there, and life should just stop. And I realized, I looked back in my life and I was like, hey, a bunch of stuff happened in past years. And then all of a sudden, recently, I'm just like, here's like I span less than 2 minutes and something happens. Like, there's not a big change over time, it's just a change that happens then, and your life's affected by that. So if my niece did die, then that's more than happening in a whole entire decade for me, and it happened in the span of less than a minute. So I want you to know that anything could happen in a short amount of time. And I love my niece, and I just couldn't get out of my head, so that's why I had to share it for you. Just take a breath and know that it's perfectly okay, and that they will live. You need to live from it. Thank you.